Igniting curiosity across depots, command centers, and beyond. Welcome to your weekly Depot AI brief, where emerging AI meets mission-ready insights. This is episode 10, AI governance. Who calls the shots? Today we're breaking down exactly how these AI updates impact our four core roles, from the shop floor to the executive suite, and we'll wrap up with key highlights and insights on the commercial tools flashing on our industry radar.
Right, and today we were unpacking a really dense stack of fresh reports.
Yeah.
I mean, from the Anthropic DoD standoff all the way to the rollout of Project ARIA.
Yeah, it's a lot of ground to cover.
It is, and our mission is to make sense of what it means for you, no matter where you sit in the Army aviation ecosystem. We're taking these high-level policy shifts and, commercial leaps and translating them into actionable, secure strategies for your day-to-day operations.
So let's start right where the rubber meets the road, or I guess where the wrench meets the rotor.
Wrench meets the rotor, like that.
Right, because for the artisan, the mechanic on the shop floor, we always hear these grand theories about artificial intelligence, but it usually sounds like something isolated to a server room in Virginia somewhere.
Oh, absolutely. It feels totally disconnected from the physical work.
Exactly. But looking at the reports this week from the Army Medical Logistics Command, this technology is quite literally hitting the maintenance bay. They are combining AI with VTC, which is video teleconferencing for remote equipment repairs. Plus, they're creating these digitized manuals that provide dynamic step-by-step guidance.
What's fascinating here is that it represents a fundamental shift in how we approach the physical maintenance of our assets. If we look at this through the lens of the broader OIB modernization strategy,
The organic industrial base.
right, the organic industrial base, it becomes clear that this is part of a much larger ecosystem. Brigadier General Gail Atkins recently concluded a 90-day review, and the results point heavily toward full-scale digital twinning and sensor-mapped factory floors. Yeah, the Army Material Command is even establishing an OIB integration cell at the Pentagon just to push this forward.
Okay, so I get the big picture of a digital twin, creating a virtual replica of a physical facility so you can run simulations. But if I'm holding a wrench right now at CCAD or working under AMCOM, how does a sensor map floor or a digital twin actually help me fix a busted component today?
Well, the immediate benefit comes down to how you interact with technical data. Think about the legacy process.
Here.
If you encounter an anomaly on a rotor assembly, you might have to step away from the bay, track down a 1,000-page technical manual, and thumb through it to verify a highly specific safety protocol.
Or a diagnostic tree.
Yeah, which takes forever.
Exactly. What the modernization strategy does is digitize that entire repository of knowledge. But having digital files isn't enough, right? You need a secure way to interrogate that data.
Wait, interrogate the data? You mean like asking a chatbot to just read the manual for you?
Essentially, yes. For the artisans working at CCAD, this is where a tool like Ask Sage comes into play. Ask Sage is an authorized generative AI platform. You can use it safely within the IL5 environment.
And for anyone who doesn't deal with cyber compliance on a daily basis, what exactly does IL5 mean in plain English?
Right, so IL5 stands for Impact Level 5. You can think of it as a highly secure, digital, gated community that's guarded by the military.
Okay, a gated community.
Yeah. It is an approved cloud environment designed specifically for sensitive, unclassified national security systems. So instead of typing your diagnostic issue into a public unsecured search engine,
Which obviously risks exposing proprietary military data.
exactly, which is a huge no-go. Instead, you query Ask Sage inside that IL5 fence line, you ask it for the exact step-by-step guidance, and it pulls the answer directly from the authorized technical manuals. It literally bridges the gap between the mechanic's hands and the vast library of engineering data. Okay, so the mechanics are generating and accessing all this new data with these advanced tools, but someone has to actually make sense of the broader supply chain.
Right.
Which brings us to the data analysts. And according to a new research report from ICF, those analysts have a massive headache on their hands right now.
A huge headache.
The report states that 83% of leaders say their data simply isn't AI ready, and 73% cite infrastructure and integration hurdles as their biggest roadblocks. It sounds like having a state-of-the-art robotic arm, but it's digging through a toolbox where someone just dumped all the sockets together and you can't find the 10 millimeter.
That is a highly accurate way to visualize the problem. AI is often pitched as a magic wand that you just wave over your organization.
Right.
But in reality, it is a capability of continuous enablement. It requires structured, clean data to function.
Right.
And right now, a lot of our legacy systems just don't seamlessly communicate. You have databases from the 1990s trying to feed information into modern cloud architectures. The data is completely fractured.
Which makes a recent report from Hire Heroes USA incredibly interesting. They looked at retention data and projections for veterans transitioning to the civilian workforce, and they identified 6 AI-proof sweet spot careers where veterans dominate.
And let me guess, logistics was on there.
Logistics, supply chain, and operations were right at the top of that list.
See, there's a direct correlation between the ICF report's warning about messy data and those Hire Heroes USA findings. An artificial intelligence cannot look at a fractured legacy supply chain and intuitively understand how to bypass a logistical bottleneck caused by real-world friction.
Like a delayed shipment due to weather or something like that?
Or vendor dispute, exactly. It requires the critical thinking, the adaptability, and the hard-earned operational experience of a human analyst to structure that chaotic data into something the AI can actually process.
So the human is the bridge.
Yes. The analyst is the translator between the messy real world and the pristine digital world.
So for the data crunchers listening to this, how do they actually do that translation? I mean, how do they escape the nightmare of legacy Excel spreadsheets that crash the moment you load too many rows of supply chain data?
The key is migrating that workflow into Army Vantage.
Okay.
Army Vantage is the Army's authorized data-driven operations and decision-making platform. It is designed specifically to ingest all that messy, disparate data from various legacy systems and help you clean, structure, and visualize it.
And once it's clean?
Once your data is organized within Army Vantage, you can then apply Ask Sage to query it. You stop spending 40 hours a week manually building pivot tables, and you start asking your data direct plain English questions to extract mission-ready insights.
That's incredible. So we have the mechanic turning the wrench and the analyst structuring the data. But none of this moves forward without the team leads directing traffic.
Supervisors.
Right. Let's talk about the supervisors, who are often stuck under a mountain of scheduling and compliance paperwork. The Army just launched Project ARIA. That's the Army Rapid Implementation of Artificial Intelligence. And looking at their charter, a major focus is reducing administrative workloads to empower soldiers.
This initiative recognizes a very pragmatic reality about military readiness. The friction that slows down a unit isn't always a supply shortage. Very often, it is the sheer volume of administrative red tape on a supervisor's desk.
Absolutely.
But when we discuss Project ARIA, we really have to draw a hard line between everyday administrative AI and battlefield AI.
What's the distinction there? I assume we aren't using the same software to draft a memo that we use to track a target.
That is the crucial divide. There was a profile in Wired this week covering SMAC Technologies. They just received $32 million in funding to build purpose-built military models.
Wow, $32 million.
Yeah. And the CEO, who is a former Marine Special Operations Commander, emphasized that general-purpose LLMs, large language models like the ones we use for text generation, are fundamentally not built for warfighting.
Because they make mistakes.
They hallucinate, they lack deterministic logic, and you simply cannot rely on them for high-stakes mission planning or kinetic target identification.
Yeah, that makes sense. You wouldn't ask a consumer chatbot to calculate the trajectory for an artillery strike.
Definitely not. But where those general-purpose LLMs excel is in cutting through the bureaucratic friction we just talked about. A supervisor doesn't need a battlefield-grade tactical model to draft a shift roster or to summarize a 50-page policy update.
Right. So for the team leads listening, how do they actually put this into practice today without running afoul of security protocols?
By leaning on authorized tools like GenAI.mil and Copilot. And all of this is safely within that IL5 boundary we discussed earlier.
Okay, so GenAI.mil and Copilot.
Correct. GenAI.mil is a secure generative AI platform built specifically for the DoD workforce, and Copilot integrates AI directly into your daily office applications. A supervisor can use these tools to automate the drafting of routine correspondence, instantly summarize long email threads, or format scheduling documents.
It's just a huge time saver.
It is about optimizing human capital, returning hours of productive time back to the mission rather than losing it to administrative overhead.
So who actually sets the rules for all this? As we move up to the executive suite, the people at the very top have a completely different headache right now.
Oh, they certainly do.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The governance drama this week has been intense. We are looking at a major standoff between Anthropic, one of the biggest AI companies in the world, and the Department of Defense over supply chain risk designations.
Yeah, that was a major development.
It escalated to the point where OpenAI CEO Sam Altman publicly stepped in to call for de-escalation, stating Anthropic shouldn't be designated as a supply chain risk.
This standoff gets to the absolute core of the executive challenge
Yeah.
regarding military AI.
Yeah.
Who ultimately governs the digital supply chain.
Right.
A company might build a fantastic AI model, but if the DoD cannot verify the security of the servers it runs on or the foreign data it was trained on, it becomes a massive vulnerability. At the same time, the DoD is under immense pressure to adopt these technologies faster.
Faster adoption, right.
If we look at the OMB Memorandum M2605, the federal government is pushing aggressively for agile, risk-based AI adoption.
I read through parts of that OMB memo. Can you translate that into plain English for us? What does agile, risk-based adoption actually mandate?
In plain terms, the top brass is telling the agencies to stop moving so slowly. Historically, the military procures software the same way it procures a tank, with years of requirements, testing, and bureaucratic reviews.
Which takes a decade.
Exactly. The OMB memo is a directive to shift the culture from that slow bureaucracy to what the DoD calls battle speed. You accept a calculated amount of risk to get the technology into the hands of the workforce faster, because the cost of falling behind is far greater than the risk of a software bug. We are seeing a new administration implementing a strongly AI-first push, backed by significant funding allocations, to force this integration.
The pressure to move at that battle speed makes sense when you look at the global landscape. A recent report in Foreign Affairs analyzed thousands of procurement documents from China's PLA. It showed that they are moving incredibly fast with AI procurement,
Very fast.
buying everything from autonomous vehicle logic to advanced decision support systems. It really highlights the tension between moving at the speed of relevance and ensuring our software supply chain is locked down.
That is the executive tightrope. For the commanders and senior leaders tuning in, the strategic imperative is that you cannot let the friction of governance paralyze your modernization efforts. You have to thread the needle between speed and compliance.
How does an executive practically manage that from the boardroom? How do they prove this stuff is actually working securely?
First, by demanding total visibility into your modernization efforts. Executives should be relying on Army Vantage to track the specific return on investment and performance metrics of their AI pilots. You need hard, structured data to prove that a new tool is actually increasing readiness.
Makes sense.
Second, you align your overall strategy with the Department of Energy's Genesis mission approach.
What does the Genesis mission approach involve?
It advocates strongly for open standards and achieving IL6 certification. Now, IL6, or Impact Level 6, is the environment authorized for classified, secret-level information. By anchoring your AI strategy to these highly accredited, open standard environments from the beginning, you ensure that your adoption isn't just a reckless sprint. It is aggressively forward-leaning, but entirely secure.
Well, let's activate the industry radar and look at the future tech and commercial watch. What is happening in the civilian sector that we need to keep our eyes on?
There's a lot.
Yeah. OpenAI just launched GPT 5.4, and the published specs are wild. They are boasting a massive 1 million token context window. To put that into perspective, that means you could feed the AI the text of several thick books all at once, and it can process that entire volume of information in seconds.
It's a huge leap.
And it also features a new tool search system for highly efficient agentic actions.
That phrase, agentic actions, is the critical leap here. We are moving away from AI as a simple chatbot that answers questions toward AI acting as an independent agent. And agentic AI can be given a broad goal, and it will independently search for and utilize other software tools to accomplish that goal without needing a human to prompt it at every single step.
And we are seeing that exact capability with Luma's launch of their new creative AI agents powered by the Unu 1 model. They showcased a demo that was frankly hard to believe.
I saw that.
They took a $15 million advertising campaign and used AI agents to localize and adapt the video and audio across multiple international markets. A task that would normally take a massive production team an entire year to execute, the AI accomplished in 40 hours for just $20,000.
It is a stunning demonstration of multimodal reasoning and efficiency. However, before anyone listening attempts to replicate those efficiencies at work, I have to set a hard boundary.
Let's hear it.
Just a reminder for everyone listening, these commercial models are strictly home lab or industry awarenesses tools. They are not currently authorized for CUI, that is, Controlled Unclassified Information or depot networks. keep them off the government hardware.
We watch the commercial space to understand where the technology is heading, but we execute the mission using only our authorized, fenced-off tools.
Precisely. And as we wrap up this deep dive into governance, secure tools, and commercial leaps, there's a lingering vulnerability that isn't being talked about enough. We spend all this time worrying about securing the servers, building these IL-5 and IL-6 walled gardens, and locking down the software supply chain. But what happens if the data itself is compromised before it ever reaches our secure networks?
What do you mean by compromised, like a standard hack?
Worse, I'm talking about data poisoning. So many of these foundational AI models rely on scraping vast amounts of open-source data from the public internet to learn how to reason.
Right.
If a near-peer adversary systematically poisons that public data well over a period of years, subtly altering engineering tolerances, maintenance theories, or logistical logic on public forums and open databases, the AI models might learn fundamentally flawed concepts.
It's terrifying.
We could end up with an incredibly secure, air-gapped AI that confidently gives us the wrong answer because its foundational worldview was quietly sabotaged. If the commercial AI supply chain is becoming just as contested and scrutinized as the hardware supply chain, it raises an important question. Does the ultimate unhackable advantage eventually just circle right back to the ingenuity of the human workforce?
That is a deeply unsettling thought to chew on, but it really reinforces why human oversight and operational experience remains so vital. From remote diagnostics on the shop floor to navigating high-stakes governance in the boardroom, mastering authorized AI tools today is how we build the agile, mission-ready force of tomorrow. Thanks for joining us. Whether you're turning wrenches in the hangars or crunching numbers for the command team, you are the engine that keeps Army aviation ready. Stay safe, stay innovative, and we'll see you on the next Depot AI Brief.